It is very rarely that I get to go into a show totally blind, especially anime, because as you know, the internet likes to spoil everything. So, um, today we're starting The Promised Neverland, and I have no idea what this is about other than that there are children involved. That's all I know. So, hopefully, hopefully things are okay and it's not going to be super dark because I just wrapped up Your Lie in April, and I would like to be in a happy mood. Please let this be a happy show. Please let this be a happy show.
Hey, Ray! What would you do outside? Huh?
I don't know. You, Emma?
I'd ride a giraffe!
Good luck.
I think that's a really interesting point for this show to immediately bring up, is that there's so many things in the world that unless we had access to the internet, or other forms of media, we would never know they existed whatsoever, right? Like between wildlife, culture, food, it's like the internet and the media, internet and media in general, like books to some extent, offer some content that people can check out, but the internet is just like so vast in terms of resources that like every generation moving forward is gonna have access to like every bit of information ever.
This gate. You know, I wonder what it's really keeping us protected from.
Wow. Wow, that is already it's so deep. I don't know if this was intentional or if I'm immediately looking too much into things, but I think that's kind of where I feel like specifically American society is at, right? Like we have a lot of things in place that people are now starting to question, and for good reason. What do the numbers represent? Oh, is it like the number of the child? That's a little holocausty. Just a little. They've captured the hecticness and disorder of children so well immediately.
I'll help you in a second. There's no need to cry.
The white uniforms seem a little culty. If anyone has seen The Leftovers. The uniforms are really helping me distinguish kind of character gender, because as we all know, anime likes to be very ambiguous.
It's you guys, and one of the oldest kids here.
It's so hard when studios use the exact same voice actors from like show to show, and it's just hard envisioning some of these characters as children, knowing that their voice actors voice mostly adult people or teenagers.
Why change it? It's
Oh,
just what I
the
love.
purple eyes feel a little ominous.
Thank you, Mom. I'm glad.
Please let this be an innocent show.
Just appreciate that all 38 of you are able to live happy lives under this roof.
Yeah, I'm getting such like religious cult vibes right now. Yeah, especially the numbers. Like, what do they mean? Is it like the number of children she's... Like, some of those numbers are like set like 60,000, so that feels like like super high for it to be like a number of children. What is going on? Is this like a commentary on like public school testing, like standardized testing? Because it's very robotic.
Well, I think I got at least half. That.
Also, the dark room with the really bright screens, I feel like no one would ever sleep ever.
Wow. I'm jealous.
What a haircut.
I didn't get most of.
Yeah, they don't really seem like the athletic type. I'm trying to pick out like in terms of like what time period this is supposed to be set in, because they seem to have relatively modern technology, but he's also got a pocket watch. So maybe am I reading too much into this? This is a really intense game of tag. I'm just waiting for this to turn into like Predator or Saw.
Come to think of it, none of us have ever been able to beat her at chess.
Is this like Ender's Game? Like, are they prepping these kids to like be masterminds in some war? Wow, there's so much land. I'm just waiting for them to like fall into booby traps or something. Like, I have such a bad feeling about this. Or is it like Alice in Wonderland-esque? Like, did they find like a secret passage to the outside world? I'm assuming that, okay, so first of all, that was a very eerie scene, but I'm assuming that's like their boundary. It's just interesting how they approached that. The show's bringing up an interesting concept that I think a lot of kids are put in the position of, is whether or not to like question their parents or authority. And growing up, there's a lot of times where you don't question why you do the things you do until you get a little bit older. And I think that might be, I don't know what kind of connection they're trying to make here, but like I'm getting like religion and cult vibes, but I don't know if that's the direction they're taking it. But I think those are, religion, I think specifically is religion, and like maybe some politics mixed in there can have a tremendous influence on kids, and they might not understand why they're involved in the things they are until like a much later age.
For the years. Oh, that? I'm sure they're just being considerate to their foster parents.
But still, we were brought here as babies. We're the only family we know. Even if we aren't blood related, we're truer siblings than most.
Maybe the outside world is so incredible that they've forgotten all about life at
This is extremely sus, first of all. Especially considering the fact that they're all brought in as babies and there isn't anyone, I'm assuming, that is brought in like at an older age. But yeah, the whole no contact thing afterwards is highly suspicious.
You love Mom very much, don't you, Connie?
I think there's a really interesting dynamic here that I'd just like to touch on really quickly. Is this idea that you want to do the exact same things that your parents did raising you, or you want to do things differently. And oftentimes, like, I've seen this, at least in my own life, with a lot of people that I went to school with, is that I remember them talking about how awful their parents are, and now that they have kids, they do like pretty much the exact same thing that their parents do. So it's a really awful cycle of raising children and saying you're gonna not do the things that your parents did, and then you end up doing them anyway. It's highly ironic, and I laugh at it.
I don't want to leave you. I want to stay right here.
Connie, I'll miss you.
Just like that, huh? Yeah, the purple eye is giving me some very ominous feelings. Yeah, I'm just getting some like raising pigs for slaughter kind of feeling.
Let's hurry and get the cleaning.
What are they gonna find? Oh no, what are they gonna find? Is the gate only half up?
Never go near the gate or the fence.
Please don't be dead. Please don't be dead. Please don't be dead. Ooh, that frame rate. I don't like it. I want to stop because something just hit me a second ago, is that all the kids are dressed in white, and I think to some degree that might represent like childhood innocence or purity. Like they're just so unaware of their surroundings and maybe like the goings on of the world that they're just so like in this case they're literally trapped in their own bubble. But I'm just wondering if that I'm assuming that was an intentional choice by the team to include. You know, like kids haven't been like tarnished or influenced negatively by the world or their surroundings to some degree, right? Like they're not, like children are inherently good. It's just kind of their environment that often raises them to have points of views. What am I trying to get at? I think that it really emphasizes the fact that kids are super polished and Kids are very much like blank sheets of paper or empty canvases or books that haven't been written yet, I guess. I hope you'll stay with me through this through this metaphor, in the sense that, you know, their only experience with life is kind of through the lenses that are given to them and not really necessarily through their own. That's not a good sign. She dead. I'm so confused what this place is. It's like a farm for children. Like, oh my gosh, are like kids livestock? Like, that's the connection that I'm now. It's all coming together. You know, they all said they were kind of raised from children, which is just giving me like livestock vibes. Ugh. This isn't a happy show, is it? I was ready, but I wasn't ready. um. Oh boy. Am I gonna need therapy after this show?
Is someone there? Hey, did you hear voices just now?
I don't like this.
It's your imagination.
It looks so delicious. Human flesh is definitely the tastiest.
Well, woo. I hit the livestock. I was just using it as a metaphor, but I didn't realize that it was probably less of it. Am I using metaphor correctly? Hold on. I wasn't expecting this to go in like the alien slash non-human route, but I guess I should have expected it.
Damn! I wish I could have just a fingertip.
Don't joke. It's valuable merchandise. Joy.
Oh.
The human flesh from this farm is the highest quality. Only the rich can afford it.
We're gonna have class struggle in this? Oh yeah. And cannibalism. We're just one step away, America.
Where's Mom?
How's the goop now?
It's mostly done, sir.
Another 6-year-old.
What are they?
We've only been shipping out average ones lately. But we'll be harvesting some of the high-grade stock soon enough. Right, Isabella?
Yes.
These 3 with full marks are to be prepared for plucking.
Yes, sir.
Is she okay? Hold on. We're going into analyze mode. Is she human? Like, so the eyes are purple, and we haven't seen any other characters with purple eyes yet. And I'm just curious if she's like one of those creatures in human skin, like pulling a Men in Black situation. I'm right, aren't I? I'm definitely right. All right, back to the episode.
I smell something.
Of course they have a good sense of smell. Ugh. I wonder what the benefit of having 2 eyes like vertically instead of horizontally is. Like, is there depth perception just like ours but turned this way? Is that even possible? I feel like our depth percep. If you know, let me know. Yeah, me too. I'm feeling like that a little bit.
This place is a farm. We're all just food.
Now, did I hit that one on the head or what? That's what a film studies degree does to you. You get like What's foreshadowing? There's no such thing as like plot twists or anything. You can't fool me.
I'm afraid it was, Connie.
You know, for being like 11, they're handling this very well. You know, if I was 11 and in their situation, I would be freaking the out. Are they just not gonna tell him? Like, wouldn't you be on that immediately?
This whole time just to end up as food.
That's right. We can...
So, were the rich, like the rich that they were referring to, are they also aliens or are they humans? And in this universe, are humans like a delicacy?
Flee, all of us.
Really? But how? How can a bunch of kids run away from those monsters?
Oh my god, this is Predator.
All of us survive.
I feel like not all of them are going to survive. That's horrifying. One of the things that hit me towards the end of the episode was like existentialism. Why does it not sound like a word anymore? I wrote that down in my notes a little bit because it hit me towards the end of the episode that like everyone kind of has like a perceived end, right? Like for people that are some people that are religious, they might believe in reincarnation or like Catholic/Christian heaven, or you know, there's all these like various forms of like the afterlife. One of the ideas that kind of hit me a little bit is this idea that the end of our destination isn't what we are told or expect, and it might be a lot worse than we know. You know, my personal belief on kind of like death in the situation is whenever anyone is whenever I get into like deep philosophical conversations about life and death and you know the concept of like an afterlife, is my point of view on it is kind of like, what do you remember about before you were born? And usually the answer for that is nothing, because we weren't born yet. And so I kind of apply the same logic to death, is that like taking the idea that there is no difference between life and death because we don't exist at either point. And so if it's just that eternal darkness of not having a concept of time, like that could just be like death, right? Is we return to that state, and maybe reincarnation isn't a thing. Maybe, you know, consciousness is recycled and we wind up in another animal or another human, or maybe there's something else, or we're a simulation. But that is a conversation for another day, and maybe the show will tackle it. But that was hitting especially hard towards the end of the episode, right? Kind of putting these dots together in the sense that they talk about like the outside world and what it's like, and then it's not going to be anything that they expect, and that just that resonated with me a little bit in terms of like the journey of life a little bit, and maybe that you know, our end isn't as glorious or as heavenly as media or content or people would tell us otherwise. Wow, what an episode. This is you know, it's I don't think maybe I'm gonna cry. I don't know. You know, I just moved on from a really sad series, and I feel like this is like darker more than it is sad. So, I mean, maybe I'll cry, and that is very likely. But I think I'm just gonna hop into the next episode and see where it goes, because I'm really intrigued. Like, I'm assuming moving forward they're gonna be doing like escape plan type shenanigans. The next thing that is kind of hitting my brain right now is, how do you communicate this to the other kids without causing a panic, or in a way that gets them all to cooperate? I feel like that's going to be the next challenge. I am curious, for the first time you watched this, did you put those like pieces together, or am I like ahead? Because I'm usually not ahead on this, but I felt like I connected the dots really early. And this is where like foreshadowing. For those that don't know, I was a film studies student, and we like dissected and consumed so much content that foreshadowing for me basically became look at everything, every frame, especially in animation, because there's no waste in animation unless it's like really cheap animation. There's no wasted content in animation. Everything in every frame is important. So when I'm looking at anime in particular, like I'm always trying to keep my eyes peeled for like themes, anything that would like pop out. So I'll be interested to see what if they can get me. I'm really hoping for a plot twist. It's hard too because as a storyteller, it's really a very difficult balance to like breadcrumb things without just like hand feeding the story points, right? Especially when it comes to like foreshadowing and plot points, because you need to set up things for plot twists to make sense. But I think a lot of stories overdo it. I think they give us too much information, and I'll be curious to see how much information they give us moving forward. If you enjoyed the video, hit a like or dislike button. It doesn't matter to me, and I would appreciate if you would subscribe, because I would love to see your face every day or every week whenever I post, and then we can talk about films and TV shows together, so that would be amazing. But until then, I'll see you in the next one, guys.